I want to thank you for being here when instead you could have thought that anyone who's looking to attack your reputation can actually harm you when that could not be further from the truth. Why resent ignorance, which is the height of ignorance, when one could wish well in acceptance? It is not letting someone off the hook to forgive them. It is not approving of anyone to wish them well, not at all. It is giving oneself freedom and peace by doing so without changing a single other thing. And that peace and freedom is the ultimate basis for operating and solving any kind of problem and bringing justice to any kind of injustice and healing whatever wounds need to be healed.
Like sometimes I'm in phases or in times where I feel like it just goes easy, or it just works out because everything is balanced and everything makes sense, and I don't try something too much or I don't push things. I'm just in the state of being. And then sometimes it slips away, or I'm like, okay, I didn't really try to get into a worse position or into a more complicated position. And then I start overthinking or thinking too much about it. And then it brings me out of this state of being just in peace or in balance. And this brings me to the question: what is actually my job? Like, is it my job to understand everything? Because surely I think it's not even possible to understand the complexity of things that are around us. Or is it just my job to be the observer? Or is it my job to be the one who decides how it goes? Is it neither of those? So yeah, this is kind of the thought or the question which I wanted to share today.
Well, first of all, thank you. Welcome here. I think this is your first time speaking, if I'm not incorrect, and so
Yeah.
this is a great thing you're doing. It's a wonderful thing you're doing because the mind, that part inside of you, which feels like it's slipping on, it's slipping off, it's going up, it's going down, that part does not acknowledge what is happening. It always thinks about what can happen, what should happen, or what could have happened, what should have happened. It never seems to recognize what is happening right now. Even as you are asking your question, and of course the question itself is concerned with something that has happened a lot of times in the past, and you are anticipating it will happen again in the future because it keeps happening. But first, let's recognize what's happening here right now, not what's been in the past or might happen in the future, right here, right now. You are here, not your fear, right? Not that which worries, not that which overthinks, but you are here because you know that it is truth that is number one. There's truth that is the highest. And no matter how uncomfortable it might feel, and no matter what needs to be done, if truth is the one saying it should be done, it should be done. And so you came here and said, I can't help myself. I can't help anyone else. I don't understand many things. And I am wondering, do I need to understand everything? Do I need to even be able to help myself or help others? And to get into your question, I want to ask you, when you were saying, you said, when I'm in a state of being, everything seems effortless, seamless, frictionless, right? But then I slip off, and then everything becomes complicated and confusing and difficult. And I want to ask you, who is the one who is slipping off? When you are slipping off of your state of being, as you said, where do you go?
Um, I I would say I go into thoughts or concerns, and I also think that it has something to do with unawareness. Although I feel like I do I do want to be aware. I do want to be on balance, but
Is the one who wants to be aware but is seeing unawareness not aware of the fact that they want to be aware and that they are unaware?
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, you do know, because if you were not aware of the fact that you were unaware, you would not be able to tell me that right now, would you?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh-huh. Interesting. So the one that is supposed to be aware, that would like to be aware, is in fact aware all the time. Even when you go into unawareness, uh, you are aware of that. Maybe
Yes,
not as you are going with thoughts, right? Maybe not as you are, but every single time you come back to it and you say, wow, I was just unaware again. Is that one not aware of unawareness in that way?
he he is. He is.
Okay, so what a wonderful thing. What a wonderful thing. So, what can happen
Yeah.
to you? What can happen to the one who is aware of unawareness? Nothing. I understand unawareness is not a condition that you want to be in. However, you never stay in it. You always come
Yeah.
out of it. And don't you remember? Again, this is the part of uh, that which is inside of you that is often brings in thoughts and overthinks. This is again something that that part does not want to acknowledge. Wasn't it the case that you used to never become aware that you had been unaware?
I think I was always aware a bit, like more or less, and like currently I'm trying to um, be as aware as possible, but not in a way to try it too hard or to push something which is maybe not in my nature.
Okay, well, that's even more amazing. So all your life you have been aware of unawareness. So that's great. But
Well,
it is also
yeah,
at the same time increasing, isn't it? The times that you catch yourself more and more that you are unaware, and you come out
yes,
of unawareness thereby more quickly than you used to before,
yes, yes,
right? Because the awareness of unawareness is growing, and the signs
yeah,
of incoming unawareness is growing, and the intervals between awareness and unawareness are changing. You are more aware than unaware, and you are more aware than unaware more often. And so this too is happening. That overthinking mind does not see any value in acknowledging this, right? But this is fact. And I also, want to point out to you, when you say I go from a state of being and I slip off of that, do you have any choice other than existing, other than being?
no,
Okay. Look, another amazing fact that this mind does not want to acknowledge or does not even think about, and always focuses on other things, what is still to do, what is still to accomplish, right? And what is still complicated and overwhelming. But this too is a fact. You always
that's true.
exist. You always are. You are always complete. You never have a lack. And even when you go unaware, you exist. Even when you overthink, you are. This
Yeah,
never changes. It has never changed. It will never change. So your so-called issue is not at all with being or not being. You always are. What you are only not liking so much. The aware does not like the unaware, right? Because it's not in nature of awareness to be unaware, of course.
yeah,
But this very not liking, this very um, awareness of unawareness is what will and already is getting you more and more out of unawareness. More and more you are spending less time in unawareness. More and more you are seeing the signs of unawareness. More and more you're seeing the effects of unawareness. And all those distractions that have time and time again um, put you into unawareness, again, that awareness that goes into unawareness, it still is there. This is something very important for us to realize, because we truly, well and truly, don't have any enemies. Nothing can harm us. Nothing can even touch us, let alone destroy us. We sometimes think, oh, unawareness is going to destroy me. But no, fact is, I am always there. It is our vision that we're trying to increase here. Not our being, not our awareness, not any that. All of that is already there. It's fully there. And it's effortlessly there. And it's quite beautifully there, actually. The only thing that is not 100% there is the vision of that beauty, of that completion, of that stillness, of that effortlessness, of that awareness, of that being. And so don't let the mind, which you are now seeing, is a separate thing from you, right? Because you are observing the mind. Whenever you say, I am overthinking right now, or whenever you say, I have been overthinking, or I will probably again overthink, that is you seeing the thinking.
Yeah.
But you can't see yourself. You can't observe this awareness, which is observing everything, which it can't help but observe, right? When a thought comes in, you can't help but see that. Otherwise, you would not even be aware of that thought. But that which is observing the thought, which cannot help but notice the thought or the emotion or the event in the world, whatever, that one cannot see itself, right? When this observer that you are, this awareness that you are, you can't look at yourself. Because in this non-physical realm, there are no mirrors, so you cannot look at something else to look at yourself. And so that one cannot see itself. So that's what you are. That's who you are. And yeah, it's correct. You are going with thoughts. It's correct. You are going with distractions, right? But the one who is going with the thoughts or with the emotions, and the one who goes into unawareness sometimes, is always complete, is always there, cannot be increased or decreased, and simply, that one is perfect. That one is perfect. And as we are noticing now, all our so-called sins, which are just mistakes, as bad as they might be, as criminal as they might be, they are all committed in unawareness. When this thing that is perfect is unaware of itself, when it forgets itself, perhaps we could say, when it is distracted from itself, because in its own aware nature, it would not even think, and thinking is not even from it, but it would not allow even the thought of doing anything wrong. And so the wonderful, when people think is, oh, I used to be a liar, I used to take advantage of people, I used to be corrupt, I used to whatever they don't want to be doing anymore. And they say, now I'm such a better person. Yes, the person is better, but the awareness with which we are that person, that one was always perfect. And so what they're really saying, even though they feel like they worked on themselves, even they feel like they bettered themselves, actually what they have done, they have not bettered themselves. You cannot better perfection. What they have done is increase the vision of that which they are. And that's exactly what you are doing. That's exactly what you are doing. You are, in everything that you're doing, in every slip-up, so-called, that you have, in every unawareness that you fall into, in every session of overthinking, it is being pointed out to you. Awareness, unawareness, awareness, unawareness, awareness, unawareness. And it's becoming clearer and clearer. You cannot help but know this is awareness, because it is effortless, it is peaceful, it is still, it is beautiful, it is natural. And then when you go into overthinking or into distraction, you say, this is so complicated, this is so painful, this is so confusing. And so you are making a list of each of those states, of their features. How does it arrive? How does it operate? What is its nature? You're seeing this more and more and more and more clearly. So this is what I mean when I say, whenever we get angry, which is a state of unawareness, right? We are literally blinded by rage. and every other emotion, so-called also good emotion. There's no such thing as a good emotion if you let it lead you, right? For example, the so-called good emotion of pride. Like I'm proud that I was able to achieve this. I'm proud of my business. I am proud of my family, whatever. That too is a state of unawareness. And so the more we are seeing this, the less it can happen to us, right? When I see that anger is a state of unawareness, as soon as I start to feel anger, I take that as a great sign, a sign that effortlessly came to me. I didn't have to do any work for that. I didn't have to do any work to feel angry. Sustaining it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of doing. But the first rising of anger when something happens in that moment, that's effortless. And so I can say to my anger, to my so-called problems, to my so-called unawareness and overthinking and all the issues I have, I can, even to them, and perhaps especially to them, I can say, thank you. Thank you, anger. Thank you, overthinking, for making it more obvious to me, for making yourself more obvious to me, how you come, how you do, how you go, and your opposite. You're making all of it clearer to me and more obvious to me. And the more obvious something becomes, the more effortlessly it can be declined. It can be, because the thought is allowed to come in. Nothing is your enemy. The overthinking, right? The overthinking starts with a single thought. You have never in your life received 1,000 thoughts at once, or even 2 thoughts at once. Never. It starts with one, and then we communicate with it, and then back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And before we know it, we have 1,000 rounds of back and forth. And that's what we call overthinking. And so when the very first thought comes, now it is so obvious that this is a thought that leads into unawareness. And so we say, no, thank you. Or at the very least, it might be a thought that is relevant at some point, but we can say, not now. Not now. We do this in our studies all the time at school or at work. We do this at our work all the time. We're working on something that is right and proper for us to work on right now. And then when someone brings in a question or a piece of paper and says, hey, this needs to be dealt with, we say, not now. Not now. Maybe later, but not now. And the same exact thing, awareness does with the thought, the emotion, the event, the visitor at the door that is inviting to unawareness, to distraction. It can say, not now, or no thank you altogether. And this is very, very much possible. But first, it needs to become obvious. And you straight up asked this question, which is a very, very interesting question. You said, am I responsible? Is it my job? Is it my job to be the thinker or the observer or this or that? There are no jobs. You yourself know that the state of being is effortless, it's simple, and it's natural. That's not a job. That's not a job. The job is in the seeking a thrill, in seeking a distraction, in trying to forget. People go well out of their way to forget. They eat, they drink, they talk to other people, they go on vacation to places they're not even really interested in just to experience something else. That's a lot of work. That's the job. The ego has a job. The ego has many jobs. The not you, the false self, the identities give you many jobs. But you, the true you, I'm talking to the true self now, right? That one has no jobs. Perfection doesn't have a job. Perfection doesn't have anything to do. Perfection rests in being, not works in being, rests in being. And even all you're doing in the physical world, logistically every day, what you as a body, as a person need to do, even those things will be done effortlessly out of that awareness. And you have experienced that and you do know that. And so your job is nothing. But if you want to say what to do when a thought comes, again, not now. And it is not a success of yours to not go into overthinking. And it is not a failure of yours to go into overthinking. Because every time you go into overthinking, you can say, thank you. Apparently, it was not obvious enough to me. Apparently, it was not obvious enough. Otherwise, I would not have gone with this distraction, with this overthinking. And so thank you for making that obvious, which very much apparently, there's the proof right here, needed to be more obvious. And so this has occurred. And perhaps it needs to become more obvious yet even still. We'll see. We'll see when we get to it. That again is overthinking. Was this now enough or will it happen again? That too is just thinking. That too is not necessary. If it is still important for you for it to become more obvious, then it will be given to you again. You will go with the thought again. But at some point, this will stop. It already has stopped with so many certain kinds of thoughts and kinds of emotion. It already has. The same is just going to keep expanding in your life. You already experience this all the time. It's just going to expand. And so don't see the ego. The thinking will take many shapes to get you into unawareness again. With you, something will work and it won't work with me, and vice versa. Something that works with me won't work with you. Now the ego is trying to say, well, what's your job? You're so confused. You're overthinking all the time. You clearly don't have a good understanding of this. So let me take over. I am the mind. I am the one that sends rockets into space. I am the one who has found every chemical and can identify it and look at it under a microscope. I am that. Let me take this over too. And all you have to say is no. Not now. You are good for many things. Not this. Because without me, you cannot even exist. I am the one who gives you life. I am the one who gives unawareness, overthinking, all of that. Its existence comes from my existence. If I just stop doing that, they stop, but I don't stop. And so this just needs to be seen. And is there a rush? Rush is of the mind. Deadlines are of the mind. Pressure is of the mind. And expectations are of the mind. Goals are of the mind. All of these things don't exist for the true self and for what truly is the most important thing, the highest good. And so don't fall into the mind. Mind is useful, but not always. We have to learn to be able to say, not now. Not now. And it's very easy, right? Or again, let's say simple. It might not be easy because it is hard, but it is simple. Simple, not now. Simple, very simple. You're already doing that. It's just going to expand. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But would you say that it's the ego or the false self which which knows everything about chemistry or does the research or is involved in the logistical world, or do you think that we can also just stay in the state of being, and this also works out perfectly for everything that comes to our work or the logistical stuff that we do all the day?
Of course. Everything takes its being from your true self, right? Without you, there are no logistics. Not for you. So everything you do logistically or non-logistically comes from your existence, comes from your being. Is not possible without it. And so this is why we're saying we have no enemies. If the mind was always overthinking, it was always useless and damaging and harassing, then we would just get rid of it, right? Or we would say, this is just how the universe is set up. It's a contradiction and we have to suffer. No, there are plenty of people who don't suffer from this. What are they doing? Are they different? Do they not have a brain? Do they not have a mind? Do they get nothing done? No, the mind is a beautiful thing. The mind is an amazing thing. Everything it has accomplished in this life. I mean, you and I are speaking right now because of many, many things that have been accomplished by the mind. The devices we're speaking through, the connection that is making all this possible in real time, live, all of this. This is all the work of the mind, which takes its being from the true self, from the being, of course. But the mind will say, let me take over, let me do everything. My realm is not only the realm of logistics and physical. I will also guide you spiritually. I am you. And this is so obvious to the awareness when someone says, I am you. Well, if you are me, then there's one person. How are two people talking right now? So when the mind comes to you and says, I am you, then that's something that is obvious to some, not obvious to some, because people have identified with their mind, with their thinking, with their emotions. I mean, I remember clearly a time when I used to think that every single thought that comes to my mind, I need to take care of. And I think we all remember that, and we still have that, right? Of course, to some extent. A thought comes and says, "Oh, but what about this?" It might not even have anything be related to you. What about the Middle East? What do you think is going to happen with that? And then we think we have to respond to that. We think we have to have an opinion about that. It stresses us out to not know something about something, to not have an opinion about something. And so we think we have to have an opinion on everything. We have to know everything. We have to understand everything. No, the mind does. But you are not the mind. And when the mind asks for, what about this? What about that? Well, we don't know anything about this. This is terrible. What can we do? What can we say? You need not know everything. And I'm not going to give you that energy. And when I say energy, I have to say this. I don't mean energy and vibration, this and that. I mean actual physical energy, right? The energy that the calories provide to your body. This energy, I will not give you, because I decide how much energy goes to thinking, how much energy goes to sleeping, how much energy goes to emotions, how much energy goes to my physical activity, whatever. Everything I decide. I am the awareness. So the mind is an amazing machine, very competent, very amazing, very fast. It can travel distances that are mind-boggling. To this day, there is nothing that can travel faster to Mars than the mind. Not a single thing. Probably never will be. But it's not allowed to lead us. It is what is being led. So when the leader becomes servile, when the leader becomes led, we are led into catastrophe. But when the leader takes its rightful place and leads the most amazing people, the most amazing beings that there are, the most amazing machines, then and only then are truly amazing things achieved. Because there are people who are sending rockets into space, who have discovered the greatest cancer cures, who are oppressed, who are slaves to their own thinking, to their own emotions. They were able to do all those amazing scientific achievements, not because they let the mind lead, but despite having the mind as their leader, despite. And so the amazingness that people can achieve when mind is put in the right place and the emotions and everything is truly mind-boggling, and I don't think can ever be understood by someone in someone else. It has to happen in the self. And it need not be understood in someone else. It is your nature. It is not only your birthright. I always say these things: peace, stillness, the self, effortlessness is your birthright. But it's actually even more than that. It already is yours. It already is there. It is the vision that is lacking. We are not lacking peace. We are not lacking awareness. We are not lacking existence, certainly. We are lacking the vision of it. And so everything has its place. The emotions are not the enemy. The thoughts are not the enemy. Other people certainly are not the enemy. Disease is certainly not the enemy. Natural so-called catastrophes are not the enemy. everything has its place, everything is part of reality, and everything can and is always used to further awareness and to diminish, so to speak, unawareness in the world. And so this is what I'm saying. You have no enemies. You have no enemies. It only turns into an overwhelming mess, as we say, when the commander becomes the soldier and the soldier becomes the commander, right? Or however you want to put it. It's just not the right, things are not in the right place. The leader is confused. The leader does not know that they're the leader. You are the leader. Nothing happens without you. You can change your worldview, but your worldview does not exist without you. So truly, the world does not exist without you, because you are perceiving everything through your worldview. And so when you say, this world is terrible, this world is all pain and disease and injustice, and just disgusting people treating each other, death and disease, it is your worldview that you're saying these things about. And it feels unchangeable and it feels overwhelming, but it is only the one who is not aware of being the being of all of this. And so this is coming. It's already coming. I mean, you would have left a long time ago if you didn't see any of this. You know, what are you even talking about? I mean, I have to go. This doesn't make any sense to me, right? So you're already seeing this. Let it become more obvious. What's the pressure? You know, who is the one saying that you will never understand this? The one saying that is taking existence from you. Without you, that one cannot exist. So why identify with something that you are giving existence to? And the answer is obvious. Well, of course I wouldn't. But this vision is not there. And I'm not saying you don't have it. I'm just saying this is generally the case. When we don't know that we are the one giving life to something, to the one that calls itself us, when we don't know that, how can we possibly do this? Of course we can't. But once we know it, we cannot help but in fact see this and know this. And so vision, we are only working on the vision. We are not working on the self. We are not working on the existence. We are not working on our nature. We are not working on peace. We are not trying to go get peace. We already have it. It is the vision that is lacking. Ever. If something is lacking, it is the vision that is lacking, nothing else. Is this being seen a little more now?
Yeah. This makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay, that's great. And so just look, every time something happens, so-called good, say, to whom is this good? Who is liking this right now? Is it an identity, right? If my child does something that is generally regarded to be a smart thing, and I like that, who is liking it? The true self? Or the identity, the role of the father or the mother? And when we ask this question, we say, oh, well, of course, it's the role of the parent, right? When someone else's child does something smart, so-called, I don't feel pride. I don't feel good about that. So why is this being perceived like this? Because I'm in the role. I'm in the identity of a father, a mother. And so just seeing that, now pride can drop away. And you might say, well, what's wrong with feeling good about something that your child did? Because every up has a down. Everything that we attach to, its enemies become our enemies. When my child is being smart, but that smartness is not being acknowledged, what happens now? Now I'm angry. At the very least, now I'm disappointed. But if I didn't feel pride to begin with, this is not to say I'm ignoring what the child did. This is not to say that I'm not discerning, that this is the proper unfolding of my child's education. I don't think this is not what's happened. That's all being seen. And that's all being encouraged physically, logistically. But why feel pride? What does pride have to do with the vision of you seeing that your child physically in its education or whatever is unfolding as is according to their nature? And that is a beautiful thing. And we can still say that it is a beautiful thing and even say that this is an amazing thing without feeling any pride, because I am loving the thing that is truly happening, not what it means to me. Okay? So when I'm loving the thing that is truly there, truly happening, and happening regardless of who sees it, who knows it, then why would I ever become disappointed or even angry at someone not seeing it, at someone not giving my child the credit that it deserves for having done this thing? It won't happen. So pride is the key there. It's not to say I'm not going to look at anything my child's doing so that I don't feel pride. No, I can look at everything. And in fact, now I can even have a clearer vision of what is truly going on and still feel no pride whatsoever. What a beautiful thing. And because I'm not feeling pride, I am not feeling disappointment. I'm not feeling anger. I'm not feeling injustice being done to me or my child. It's a beautiful thing. And so in the very same way, why can you not observe, well, I'm overwhelmed right now. I'm getting overwhelmed right now. Observe it. It cannot diminish you. It has never diminished you. Every single time you overthought, and you did it many, many times, right? Hundreds, thousands of times maybe in your life. Every single time you came out of it just the same. You were the same as before. Has it taken anything away from you? Are you less existing now? Are you less capable of being aware now? Quite the opposite. It is giving you more of a vision of your true existence, of your true self. It is making you more capable of remaining in that state of being that is so effortless and nice. And so what's the problem? Yes, we don't want to be overwhelmed. It's not natural to us. It's not our nature. But let it happen. It is, however, our nature to observe it and to take no color from it. All of this is your potential and your ability already. It is only the vision. Again, vision. Look, the vision can get small and say, oh, I am this overwhelmed person right now. And to this person, being overwhelmed is very harmful because I can't get anything done when I'm overthinking. But you are not the person either. Observe that. Observe this little person that because they are now overwhelmed, they cannot get anything done. Observe that. Who is observing that? And is the one who's observing that, is that one overwhelmed? Can that one be overwhelmed? Can that one be debilitated by overthinking?
No.
Right. Look, and you said that. I didn't make you say that. You felt that, right? And felt in the true sense. Like it was obvious to you inside of you. You didn't read a book to do this. You didn't ask your friends, is this right? You immediately know. The one who is watching the one being overwhelmed, isn't that me? And can that one be overwhelmed? Amazing. And so what else is there to do than to constantly remind ourselves, again, this doesn't make sense, but in speech, this is how we say it, remind ourselves of our true existence, what we truly are, who we truly are. So every time you're overwhelmed, every time you're feeling proud, every time you're feeling ecstatic, every time you're feeling happy, every time you're feeling sad, disappointed, expecting, whatever, observe that too. And the one who's observing that is not feeling any of that. The one who's observing that, more importantly, does not need any of that. And has never needed it, will never need it, cannot become better by it, cannot become worse by it. It does not have success, it does not have failure, it does not have hopes, dreams, goals, wishes, and certainly has no regrets. So if I am that one, what can happen? Let the thoughts come, let the emotions come. It is all being observed. And the side effect of this is not the goal or the ambition, because there are no goals. The one who's doing this is already perfect. But the side effect of this is that those thoughts and emotions simply come up less and less and less and less. However, very important, they can come up as much as they want. It is not a problem to the true self. It is not a problem. So again, it is not an achievement. Let's not fall into this either. It is not an achievement when they start coming less and less. This is not an achievement. And if they come more and more, that is not a failure. Let them be at their top level all the time and forever. It would not be a problem to the true self. So again, look, you don't have to work on anything. You don't have to work on any of those thoughts or anything that you think is causing those thoughts and emotions. We don't have to go out and fight that and attack that and work on that and overcome that. All we have to do is work on, so to speak, the vision of the true self. And that work can be done and must be done for oneself, by oneself, and you need no one else. You need nothing else. You need not buy anything. You don't need to go to some religious so-and-so and receive a blessing or nothing. It is just a seeing. It is just a vision. And even that vision really you already have, if we want to get really specific with it. Even that vision you are not lacking. It is just that there's an obstruction in front of it. Even the vision is working perfectly, but the obstruction is there. What are those obstructions? Identities, false beliefs, the ego, the not you, whatever you want to call. These are all synonyms. So as we let go of false beliefs, one false belief, for example, as we're experiencing, is thoughts can harm me. Whenever I am overthinking, I am not able to simply be. The observer goes away when the problems come in. This is a false belief. As you know. And so now that one's gone. Okay, how many things can go and this vision is still obstructed? How many? Eventually it will be unobstructed. And that time will come much sooner than the mind worries about. So I will end it in the same way that I started it. I'm telling you, you are doing a wonderful thing by seeing this, by asking, not just here and now, but yourself and in the world and all the time you are asking, you're seeking, you are letting these things become more obvious, and you are open. This is the most important thing, openness. Without being open, nothing can be received. Whether it is the understanding that we were always perfect and nothing needs to be received in the first place, even that needs to be received first, right? And so you are open. And if you remain open, if you remain aware of the true self, nothing can happen to you. All right. So I thank you very much for that question. And
thank you very much, Etish.
Thank you. And I will move you back to the audience for now. Again, thank you very much. I mean, this is once again one of those questions that you get into it, you can get into everything, because this question is being asked. Look, this is what I'm trying to tell you. The mind does not tell us this. The mind does not tell us this because the mind is always focused on what can be, what should be, what could have been. But once this question is asked, or a question like this, which is at the heart of everything, it's already over. It's already over. As one of our favorite philosopher, mystic, whatever you want to call him, friends, Meister Eckhart, says, in the realm of ideas, wanting is having. Wanting is having. So as soon as this awareness is wanted, it is had. There's no one to allow it, no one to give it to us or take it away from us. It is not possible. Wanting, in the realm of ideas, wanting is having. In the realm of physical, wanting is not having. Wanting needs to happen, and then something needs to be studied or worked on or built up, and then promoted, and all these, and accepted, and verified, and allowed, certified. And then maybe, if the health holds up, if the world holds up, it can be had, maybe. But in the realm of ideas, wanting is having. So that said, I will invite our next speaker. The following speaker has requested to remain anonymous, and so I will quickly summarize their questions before you will hear my answers to them. The first point, as well as question, that our speaker brings up is a confusion about intentions. The speaker says that they notice that while intentions seem very important in theory, they don't seem very applicable in practical daily life. In other words, that it is easy to talk about intentions retrospectively, but that thinking about intentions does not actually change anything about our current behavior. And our speaker is asking what I think about this idea. Well, I need to see how it's not applicable. I've listened to what you're saying, but that does not, that one of us is not able to set an intention and then sort of act from it, at least at all times, does not prove that intentions are not applicable, because every time you are doing something, you're doing something out of an intention. Whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, there's always an intention that is driving you. Without driving you, are not going anywhere. And so you're right that intentions can often be seen retrospectively, because the act sort of proves, as I've been saying, if there's an act, there has to be an intention. So a lot of times we can look at the act and figure out the intention from that retrospectively. But this, if you set your intention right, not to set your intention right, but because you see no other option, this is when the right intention, inevitably leads to whatever outcome. It will always be acceptable. It will always be right. Intention is not fighting against a vice. Having an intention is not resisting badness. Having the right intention in the right way, properly, is to see no other option. And I can make this very obvious to you. If, someone wanted to try to force you to harm a child, harm an animal, pick whatever thought experiment you'd like, they could bribe you $1 billion. They could threaten you with anything they would like. You wouldn't do it. Right? It would not be a situation in which you say, $1 billion just to cut someone's hand off? I mean, that's a good deal. So that's a little tempting, but I know what's right. I know that would not be the right thing to do. I know it's not virtuous. I know it's not moral. So I'm going to have to pass on that. Would this deliberation take place, or would you say absolutely not? Exactly. And so this is how it is with everything. I'm just giving you a clear example, but this clarity can be had and is had in everything. In everything. If we are truly devoted, if you want to say, I mean, it's the person that's devoted. The true self is not devoted or not devoted to anything, but just it's language and we have to use it. If we are truly devoted to truth, to justice, to love, okay? In the smallest example, most subtle example, or in the grandest and most obvious example, between them there will be no difference. And this is, again, a growing thing. This is a vision, right? So it is, of course, completely natural to first act in accordance with what is right in obvious cases. That's why we call them obvious. And then there are more subtle cases in which we can't quite comprehend what is right. We can't quite discern it. But this is not a lack of anything other than vision. The subtle becomes more obvious the more we engage in subtlety. And this can be yet another definition of philosophy, one of our many little summaries, definitions of what philosophy truly in its spirit is, it is to make the subtle obvious. Because there are many people to whom it is not obvious, even if a perfectly innocent human being should be killed or not, for profit or for reputation or to protect or to save one's own family or whatever. To them, even that is not obvious. There are many such people, have been, will be. But to you it is obvious. To me it is obvious. What is the difference? Do I have a better nature than that person? Do you have a more do you have a greater potential for reception of truth? Or is it just our vision that is different? Right? You and I have a clearer vision of this than certain other people. Or others have a clearer vision than we do, whatever, however you want to see it. But it's the vision. I am a human being, you're a human, everyone is a human being. Everyone who has done the biggest atrocity, so to speak, was the same, chemically, the exact same identical human being as you are. And Socrates is chemically identical to you and I and also everyone else. And so, what is the difference? What is the difference? It is the vision. And this vision is naturally, effortlessly trained at all times if awareness is applied to experience. The being is always there. We cannot turn on or off our existence, right? It's always there. And we cannot heighten it or lessen it. But the awareness of awareness, the consciousness of consciousness, as they say, this is something that is practiced. The vision is something that is expanded. The vision can contract or expand. But not that what is being seen. And not the looker, the seer, the observer, the knower. This cannot be expanded or contracted. And so if this is not obvious to you, it just needs to become more obvious. And by being here, you are already doing that. And being here is, I'm sure, the least you're doing in this training of your vision. Because look, and this too, you might not see it like this, but you coming here is with the intention of expanding this vision. You might not even have known that. Although, and if you haven't known it, now that I'm pointing out to you, say, yeah, that's exactly what it was. I didn't even know, but I had that intention all along. Because you have devoted yourself, if not to truth, at least to the seeking of truth. And that seeking of truth, to that one, it is not an option to remain in willful ignorance. It is not an option to have a confusion and to do nothing about it. It is not an option to lack an understanding and to not go and improve that understanding. It is not a vision to this person that you are. It is not an option at all to that one who has devoted themselves to seeking truth. And this seeking of truth, although itself is imperfect, will lead to truth, period. This is the way. This is everything. Everything is the way. Everything that comes your way is turned around to your own advantage. And this is just going to become more and more obvious. It is becoming more and more obvious. This question that you are asking now would not have been asked a month ago, a year ago, however long ago. This too has been come to, and this too will be past. So, to bring it to simple terms, to restate something that is at the heart of this, to have a certain intention is to give oneself no other option. That is intention. So-called good or bad intention is the same, right? Someone with bad intentions also sees no other option than to do what they're doing. But the one who has the intention, that one can decide to shift their commitment, their dedication, their focus onto a different intention, seeing that the current one is not working. And that seeing is, again, vision. So leave yourself no other option than love. Leave yourself no other option than justice. Leave yourself no other option than truth. And falsity, injustice, and hate will have no option but to fall off of you. Simple. This everyone who's experienced it, and you have experienced this. It's not like you haven't. You're experiencing this all the time when you say, when I have a certain intention, that I am not looking to change at all because I'm seeing it working. I'm seeing that it's right. It's showing up in my experience, as you're saying. Then you can also see that you had no other option. You acted with the only option that was available to you, which was to extend the kindness, which was to tell the truth, which was to whatever. And so in the same way, these more subtle things are going to become more obvious. Does that make sense? Our speaker says, yes, it makes sense. However, I wonder where these intentions come from and if they're not actually socially conditioned. If it is not society that tells us what is the right intention, what is the wrong intention. And our speaker feels that there are certain situations when someone is trying to offend us, that the only option is to get offended. Whereas there are other situations, they noticed, where even though someone is trying to be offensive, we do not get offended because we see the ignorance in them and we feel that we don't have any other choice than to just wish them well. And the speaker is wondering how it is possible for one person to act in these two completely different ways. The two eyes are different there. So now we're seeing this. Okay, this has been circled in. The two eyes that you're speaking of are different there. The one who says, I have no other option than to get angry in this situation is not the same one as the one who says, I have no other option but to not get angry, but see this ignorance for what it is and to wish them well. These are not the same eyes. The first eye is an identity. The first eye is the ego. The first eye is the false self, the not you. The second one is the one who is seeing things as they truly are, at least more so, at least to a degree in which they are able to wish well, unobstructed. The vision on that one is unobstructed. On the other one, there's an obstruction of vision, and every obstruction of vision is an identity, is a false belief. And so, like I said, I can go to work as a doctor and have one of my colleagues in front of everyone correct a mistake of mine and feel nothing about it, and to even be thankful to be freed of ignorance, to be freed, even in a logistical sense, of wrongdoing. But that same person can go home and be offended by their wife, by their child saying something. The child's asking for something, and the father's saying, no, it's not in the budget right now. And the child says, I never get to do anything. And the provider is offended. The one who's working so hard every single day, and but simply is unable to fulfill all of the child's wishes, that one is offended because it's seeing how hard it's working, and the whole world is declining them a living that would enable them to fulfill all their family's wishes, but they're simply unable to do so, and that injustice and I am wrong, and that anger, that comes up. So the provider there is an identity. It's a role. And that role, that identity is being insulted. That is being offended by the action of someone, whatever, or by a certain situation that doesn't even involve any other human beings. But that same person at work does not have that identity. They're now being the doctor, and they're not identifying as being the doctor, but they are identifying as being the provider of their family. These two things are living in the same person. And so this is why we always say, when we feel anger, we can be 100% sure that in the region of that anger, there is identity. There is false belief. And so we say, thank you, anger. Thank you, disappointment. Thank you, offense. Thank you, whatever emotion. Now, without you, I would have never known. Without you, I would have just continued living like this. But now that I know what anger is, where it comes from, what it's triggered by, I can now go there and see, My child said that they never get to do things that involve objectively a lot of money. And so why would I get angry at that? Does the child know any better? Did they say that with hate? Even so, how can that harm me? So why am I offended? Why do I feel diminished? Why do I feel angry? I must have an identity somewhere there. Is it the identity of a provider? Is it the identity of a parent? Is it the identity of someone who guides their children really well, or is it the identity of someone who's respected by their family? Whatever. This is for the individual to go in there and figure out, only to the extent that is necessary to drop that. Not psychoanalyze, not nothing like that. But as soon as this realization comes, I was identifying as the respected person in the family, and so this person disagreeing with me is directly in conflict with that. And so that's why I got angry. That is enough to say, to simply for the identity to drop, and then the same thing never offending you again. It is enough. There's no need to go, where in my childhood did I pick this up, or what has, that's not important. That's not at all important. It's already gone. It fell off. It fell off. There's no effort in this. The light of awareness, as soon as it shines on unawareness, which identity is, it's gone. The shadow is gone. Is there any work involved in making the light reach the shadow? No, it's effortless. The light, the awareness, the attention only needs to be directed in that region which the offense, the anger is clearly coming from. So simple. So the one eye is the eye of the identity, not the true self. And the other one, I would say, is at least not consumed by an identity, and is therefore unobstructedly seeing truth there. Does that make sense? Our speaker is now expressing gratitude for the insights shared in this conversation, and then goes on to wonder why they themselves were not able to come to this understanding by themselves. That's not you speaking right now. I'll point that out to you just to make it easier for you, but this realization was going to come to you as well. It's not you speaking right now. Why couldn't I do it? Why can't I do it? This is an identity, maybe the identity of the truth seeker, of the one who wants to be able to see these things, who looks up to people like Socrates. Socrates was not Socrates before he was the person that we know. He wasn't born like that. And this is, again, we keep talking about, it's the vision. If we lack anything at all, if that is the case, we lack vision. And vision is something that can and is always being obtained. And you don't need to know the path. You don't need to know how to read a map. You don't need to know anything. All you need to do is travel in that direction. Just like one of our favorite philosophers, Simone Weil, says about love. She says love is not an emotion. Love is a direction. You don't need to know the destination. You certainly don't need to know how to get there. You can't know how to get there. If you just traveled always west, because you know where west is, right? You don't know what mountains are going to be in your way. You don't know if there's a sea there. You don't know if you're going to be allowed to pass through those lands at certain times in that direction. But you do know what direction the west is. And so all you have to do is keep traveling that way and not listen to these identities that say you can't go there. You probably will be prevented anyway, so why even try? Others have already done it. What's the point of doing it again? Who are you to do this when there's so many other things that you know for a fact need to be done? Blah, 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 all these things. I mean, I could list 100 more and it would still be an incomplete list, right? And so here again, intention. Here again, intention. My intention is not to know everything. My intention is not even to know certain things by a certain time. No, my intention is just to walk the direction that I know for a fact is right. Do you not already know for a fact that the direction of truth is the right direction? Do you not already know that the direction of love is the right direction, that the direction of justice is the right direction? You don't need to know how to get there. You don't need to know what's going to happen throughout the way and what you should pack right now and prepare for. You don't need to know any of that. You already know that this is the right direction. What other option is there? This, again, intention. What other option than truth, than love and justice do you have left? Woe to you if you have any other options left. That's where all of misery comes from. But the mind, the identities will make even this a problem, this beautiful intention where you say, I have left myself no other options than love and truth. And you say, oh, well, you might have to suffer a lot for love and truth, which also is not true. But even if it was true, so what? I have no other option. So what are we even talking about here? Let's go. Let's keep going. Why is fear stopping us? The ego, the false self, the identities, again, whatever you want to call them, I don't care, are interested in delaying your vision for as long as possible, because this is where the ego lives. The ego lives in pushing up against things. That's how it knows it exists, and it gets a thrill from that. It loves being in misery. It loves being in confusion, because then there's something for it to work on, to become. But the true self already is, the true self already be, and it's already complete, and there's nothing to do and nothing to become. Unless you choose to do so. You can do whatever you want. It's your playground. But you don't have to make something of yourself, to become worthy. Worthy of what? Worthy of what? Don't you already have all the love in the world? All the truth in the world? Is it not open to you? Is this world not already serving you? Even before you knew what truth was and justice was and philosophy or your religion or whatever it is that got you here, did the world not serve you by introducing that to you when you had no idea that it even existed? The whole world was serving you before you knew it, and it's certainly serving you now that you know it, and it certainly is going to continue to serve you no matter what you think of it. And so there is no need for any of this. If you want more peace, go increase your vision of it, right? Say, how can this person who is angry today at something be perfectly well-wishing to someone else in another situation? What is the difference? Did I just found the limit of love, or did I find a pocket in my vision that is in the shadow? And if it's the shadow, all I need to do is shine the light that I am. You are the light of this world. This awareness that you are, that you can't help but being, that you cannot choose to be or not to be. You are exactly what you are, and I am the same thing, and we're all the same thing, and there's no difference in that way. We are the light of the world. And the shadow is the absence of light. It does not have its own existence. It is the absence of something that is truly existing. So anger, which is a state of unawareness, is simply the absence of wishing well. And wishing well naturally, effortlessly comes with the vision of reality, of truth, of love. The vision of love necessitates, leaves no other option for the expression of love. And the expression of love is to wish well. And so if you are unable to wish well in a certain situation, is it that love is limited or your vision of it? And again, if your vision of it is limited, you can change that. And in fact, only you can change it. And once again, the identity of someone who's unable to wish well right now is going to tell you you failed. You couldn't wish well. And as you know, until you love everyone, you cannot love anyone. So now I cannot love anyone. Oh no, this is an identity. All I have to do is go extend my vision. As it has been pointed out to me that it needs extension, or that it is possible for it to be extended still. That is a gift. It is not a failure, and it is also not a success. It just is what it is, but it can be interpreted as a gift. But that too is just an interpretation. At the end of the day, let's just shine a light on it and see what happens. You already know how to do that. You've done it many, many times. And so what is different? Now our speaker is asking, but how do we do that? How do we shed light on ignorance? It is already being pointed out to you when you become angry at ignorance. Your anger is saying, look here. And the light is your attention, your awareness. So if your awareness is the light and the anger is the pointer to where the light needs to be shown on, what are you to do? Look in that direction. Put your focus there, put your attention there. And once it is seen, this is what caused my anger, this identity, this false belief, whatever it is, it's going to be seen, inevitable. Then it drops off of you. That's the whole process. I just told you, right? Anger is your red flag. It's your notice. It says, look here, you are the light. Your attention is the light. Put your attention where anger is pointing it at. As soon as the light shines on the shadow is gone. You don't have to do anything. When have you ever realized truth and still needed to work at it to be believed in? As soon as you saw a conflict, as soon as you said, wow, yeah, this does not make sense. I thought this made sense, but it's clear this is a conflict. These two things don't go together. Okay, so why would I one more time do that? Hasn't this happened thousands of times? And it's the same with this. It's the same with identity. Look, this doesn't make any sense. I didn't know this was there, but I am the light. I just shone on it by looking at it. It's over. It's done. This is simple. You've already done it. I appreciate it. Thank you for your question, and thank you for, again, the openness. I'll move you back to the audience for now. Thank you for the openness, because this is all, once again, offensive stuff, if you think about it, right? We don't want to lack anything. We want to have complete control and understanding of everything. Of course, when we say we, that's not the true I. That's something in us that is a so-called control freak and needs to understand everything and needs to be superior, important, special, right? This is all not at all the features of the true self at all. So I will take our next speaker.
I really thank you for gathering such a beautiful community here. There's like a rare kind of wisdom in creating a space where minds are not merely like filled, but set free. And there is precisely what you have given us here. In a world that often demands answers before questions are fully formed, you have offered us something far more valuable, which is the courage that you always speak about, to sit with uncertainty, to challenge, to wonder, and to grow. So I really appreciate that. So not just for the discussions or the ideas, but for understanding that the examined life is always richer when it is examined alongside others. So for everything, I'm really grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Although I want to say thank you for your kind words, and you're very welcome. And you are part of what you are seeing here. We keep forgetting that, right? And I'm not saying you are, but generally we humans do. We are part of the thing we're talking about. You are part of this community. And so whatever value you're seeing in this, it is entirely inside of you also. And, I am not giving anything. I'm not doing anything other than pointing out what has been pointed out to me. Simple. There's nothing else to it, right? We read our friends, Socrates and whatever. They're all the same. We could name so many, but they have, to them, something was pointed out, and then maybe they went a little further in certain things, and so then they passed that on, and that's what's happening here. That's what we do among friends, as you know. True friends make us remember. True friends make us remember truth. so many people call friends people whom they only used to forget. When we say, hey, come over, we'll get a drink, we'll do this, we're trying to forget something, right? So many people say, I've had such a hard day, let's go out and do this. I'm just trying to forget something. So we're just using each other for unawareness, right? But the friend who says, this is not happening to you, that so-called hard day, that's not really happening to you. Isn't that the one that is happening to being observed also? Who's that? Who's observing that one? Is that one tired? Is that one fed up? No, everything is fine. I mean, let's be together, right? That's what we're doing here, but not to forget, to remember. And so that's what friends do for each other. So when something's pointed out to me, I call that a part of the highest good. The highest good is truth, right? So that's part of truth. And anyone who receives any part of the highest truth necessarily and almost involuntarily feels the need to share it, because the highest good is so high and it is so good that the more people have it, the better it is for oneself as well, even if you're still thinking in selfish terms, right? It makes everything better for me also. So in the true sense, this is an entirely selfish thing. To have something pointed out to you, it already makes your life better. And then you go on even to share that with other people, point it out to them, and to receive further fruits, so to speak, by just having more awareness around you, more people that know about this, whom you then feel closer to, which then feels like kin, all of this. So this is within all of us. This is just friendship, right? And everyone not only would, but does the same for me and for everyone else and for each other here. This is why we call it kinship. This is what it is. This is kinship. This is not, we come here to receive something from one person and we're grateful for that. Or multiple people, whatever. No, this is a friendship. This is what true friendship is, right? I almost don't want to use that word anymore because it's so misused, but it's the same with love, with truth. All these words are so overused and misused. But instead of inventing new words, we're just going to go back to the original meaning, right? This is the original meaning of friendship. And so, and I know this is what you're expressing, and I'm entirely grateful for that. Thank you. You are saying thank you for your friendship, and I am saying thank you for your friendship in this way. So I just wanted to point that out, as I want to more often do. This is just that, nothing more. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, my question is basically regarding a theme or an idea that you quietly mentioned many times, which is the truth. And I guess that, and I speak like personally, that there is a quiet war that happens inside us long before we even open our mouths, which is the war between what we truly feel and what we think the world and people can handle. For example, we weigh our words literally like a merchant weighs gold, calculating the cost on the other side. Will this hurt them if we say it? Will they pull away? Will I be misunderstood? And in that constant calculation, we slowly begin to edit ourselves out of existence. Since I would say there is this line between sincerity and authenticity, which is saying what we believe, but authenticity is being fully who we actually are. But when we manufacture excuses to, for example, avoid, let's say, a night out with our colleagues that we never wanted, we choose basically neither. We choose comfort, theirs and ours, over truth. And my question is, are we truly protecting them, or are we protecting ourselves from the discomfort of being fully seen? Because I don't want to call it like a dilemma, because it's like this radical honesty demands a vulnerability that most of us were never, I guess, taught to carry. It's like I see it as we were raised like in families, cultures that rewarded smoothness over rawness and harmony over, I call it friction. So we learn to perform like consideration while quietly suppressing the truth of what we actually want to say. And I read once on meditations regarding like this topic, like self deception, that truth never truly harms anyone, and that the person who continues in self deception and ignorance is the one who is actually harmed. And yeah, it usually flips the anxiety. We fear that our honesty would hurt others, but the real damage is in the lie we tell ourselves by staying silent. So I don't know like your thoughts on this matter.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is one of those areas that where theory and practice intersects, and where also the logistical self, the person, the role that I play out in the world, whether I know it or not, and if I know it, there's no problem. We can play roles. We can have, right? We do all the time. Um, there's nothing wrong with that. Where the role, though, this is one of those questions where the role and the true self intersects, where physical, non-physical intersects, logistical, non-logistical intersects. So there seems to be a conflict there. There seems to be a confusion there, which in fact is not there. And but this question needs to be asked for us to see that. Once again, it's about the subtle becoming more obvious. And how can the subtle become more obvious if not thought about, if not dealt with, if not weighed, right? If we keep looking, we're going to see more and more differences, and the subtle is going to become more obvious. And so when I want to ask you, when we weigh our words in order not to cause discomfort to someone, in order not to harm them, whether we are, as you said, pointed out, really thinking about the other person's discomfort or of our own, it doesn't matter. When we do that, I want to ask you, does the comfort that someone else provides to us, does that make us a better person?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think it makes us a better person because um, if we see the root of that comfort, I don't think it is based on truth because we want them to be comfortable. So we want to give them the answer that is not that harsh and that won't cause any conflicts, I would say,
Right, but
between
just
us
to
and
just to sort of isolate that, like if someone else provides comfort to you, however they think they're doing that, right? And however you wish it to be done, whatever it is, when someone does in fact provide comfort to you, does that make you a better human being, a better person, a better self, a better being?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, so how can the discomfort we provide to someone else or they provide to us, can that harm us then?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. No. Yeah.
Okay. So let's once again let's have the vision. Let's get real, as they say, about what we're really doing here. What we're really doing here. What we're really doing here is not trying to spare anyone from actual harm, but to make a logistical decision. It's a logistical decision. You're saying, okay, these people are really attached to the sort of ego thrill that they're looking for, that their invitation, let's say they're saying, let us all coworkers go out to drink together. And if you say no, if this is that kind of person, and you know they're going to take that as an offensive thing, as a judgment on them, as a value judgment on them as a whole person, as so many people do, then we might say, I know that me saying no is not truly going to harm them, even though they don't know that. And I know that me going there, although it's a bit of a waste of time logistically, can also not harm me. And so, and I have to work with this person for quite a while, and it doesn't bother me. So I will go. I'll go this time or whatever times I feel are appropriate. But if you say, for whatever reason, no, I simply don't want to go. I have no interest in it. I used to have a bit of an alcohol problem, and so I don't want to be in that kind of environment. Whatever your reason is, or I need to be at home, that's when we do things anyway, just to please that person because we believe in harm, right? We ourselves genuinely don't want to be there, but we say yes anyway. That's when the problem occurs. Because we ourselves believe in that idea of harm by causing someone discomfort. We believe in the idea that words can make someone better or worse, that our treatment of them can make someone better or worse. If we didn't believe that, there would be no problem. We would either satisfy that person's request as a logistical matter, or we would dissatisfy it as a logistical matter, but never as a moral matter, never as a I'm protecting myself, I'm harming myself, or I'm not. Never as that. Because the comfort, discomfort, the word, the action, the lie, or the truth cannot make you better or worse. And it cannot make them better or worse. They might not know that, right? So we need to keep always this discernment of logistical, non-logistical, physical, non-physical, or spiritual, as some people might call it. We always have to have the clear vision of that. And again, this is the subtlety. This is the subtlety. This is where they intersect and we become confused. But no, if we always know what's what, they can intersect as much as they want. It's always going to be obvious. It's always going to be clear. I'm not going to satisfy this request. I've already just done it last month because I saw no harm in that. It was not a problem to me. I had time. And this person is very hung up on their image, on their invites being accepted and whatever. And so I indulged that last time. But here again, a month, 2 weeks later, whatever it is, here this person is asking again, no. And you will feel nothing about it. And you will come up, I'm telling you this also, this is the problem with hypotheticals. Whenever we engage in hypotheticals, we are lacking the fullness that reality brings with it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an hypothetical. Otherwise, it would just be the situation in front of us, right? So whenever we say, let's do a hypothetical, we are already putting ourselves into a position of, I will be speaking from unreality. I will be speaking from a lack because the fullness of reality is not there, right? And so if you'd ask me now, well, what would I say to this hypothetical? I don't know. But I can promise you this. Someone who knows the difference between the physical, the logistical, and the non-logistical, and that truly no one can harm another, in the true sense of harm, right? Discomfort is not harm. You can cause someone discomfort, but not harm. Someone who truly knows this in the real situation, right there, right now, in front of them, with the wholeness and the completeness that reality necessarily brings with it, otherwise it would not be reality. Then and there, with this proper understanding, again, this is important, and this intention, you will always find the right thing to do, the right words to speak or not to speak, and the right treatment. And you will always do it with kindness because there is no idea of harm inside of you. It is when people think that accepting this invitation will harm them, therefore they must reject it, is when they become angry at the person saying, but you never accept, but you all this. That's when they become angry. But if you don't have this inside of you, they can say whatever they want, and you will speak with love and kindness and fairness. And if that love and kindness and fairness is not received, or is not understood, or is deliberately misunderstood, as it happens so often, then you will also see that for what it is. And you won't try to make the person understand who is unwilling to understand, incapable of understanding. But you will be 100% satisfied with how you rejected or accepted an invitation, and how you did it and why you did it. You will always be satisfied with the kindness and love and fairness that you approach the situation, no matter how it is received. Because its reception is not what can make you better or worse. As you yourself said, the way you engage, the things that come out of you, your own intention can only harm you, so to speak, in that sense. Because you will be uneasy, you will be dissatisfied, you will be regretful if you did not act in accordance with the right intention. But if you did, come what may, who cares? Even if you say, oh, this person is my boss and they could really make my work hell for me, right? That's on them. That's on them. If you truly approached, if you truly handled, if you truly acted out of love, fairness, and truth, simply, you say, well, that is a discomfort. That is a discomfort. It is unfair. This person is angry. This person is doing objectively something wrong, but what can I do? What can I do? Do the thing that I know for a fact is wrong just to satisfy this person? Perhaps. It's not even a guarantee that it will satisfy them, right? No, that's not an option for me. It's not an option. But again, you will know what to say. And if that, what you knew to say, is not appreciated, accepted, or misunderstood, you will have no regret about that either. And any consequence of that misunderstanding, that non-receptivity, is also not going to be a problem for you. It will only be yet another logistical thing that you're dealing with. Just like at work, oh, this issue occurred, this thing broke. Okay, so let's put that on the to-do list. Let's do this, whatever needs to be done, logistical steps, take them. And the person whom I acted out of truth and generosity and kindness and love with is deliberately misunderstanding because they're consumed by the ego and they can't help themselves. I wish them well, but now, logistically, they're making my work more difficult. It's just it's just another item on the logistical list. And if that list becomes too much, once again, that's another logistical decision to say, this logistical list, these things that I'm dealing with on a daily basis, physically, logistically, and which cannot harm me, logistically, it's too much for me. I don't want it. It's not right. It's not proper. It's not acceptable. It's not right. So now we're thinking, are we going to get a different job, or are we going to voice this to someone at the workplace that this is happening? Whatever needs to be done. It's yet another logistical process. But if we keep this separation always at heart, the logistics cannot touch me. The physical cannot touch the non-physical. If we truly know this, if this is truly being seen, and if this is guiding our every word, our every intention, our every action, then I ask you, how can you go wrong? How can you harm or be harmed?
Yeah, now that you've given me the answer, I can see it through different layers, which is me and the other. And as you said, if my intentions are honest and I have no intentions of hurting the other, that means whatever I'm doing is the right thing. And to the other, their reaction is basically out of my control. So I don't I don't need to be um, I would say like touched by their reaction. Whether it's good or bad, it's not gonna harm me because I did what I believe is the right thing to be done. And yeah, because when you said, for example, it depends on the situation. If I don't want to say yes, let's say, and that is my answer, then their reaction is basically can't harm me because I basically have like my own reasons and they come from love, as you said, with no intentions to harm anyone. So I shouldn't feel any discomfort towards that. And
But you
when
can
I
feel the
see it,
discomfort. Look, even that is not a problem. I just want to point that out there. I don't mean to interrupt, but this is
yeah,
important. Don't have an expectation that it won't be uncomfortable, because the discomfort too is a logistical thing. So let's not think that that can touch us as well. That is allowed to appear. We are not fighting discomfort, and we are not fighting for comfort. It can still be uncomfortable to do the right thing. Let that happen. That too is not a problem. Do you see that? The true self, the you, are not diminished by the amount of, or are not judged or whatever, by the comfort or discomfort that you are experiencing. It's not a problem to you. It is only a problem, if at all, to the logistical, the person, the worker, the one who has this relationship, this image of you that is interacting with another image, right? And this other person believes that they are their image. That's the whole issue. But you know that they are not their image and that you are not your image. So the person, the personality of you, the person of you, the persona, that one is feeling discomfort. But that one feeling discomfort does nothing to you. And so let it be uncomfortable. Notice that that discomfort is not hurting you. It cannot hurt you. Does that make sense?
yeah, it absolutely makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Yeah,
And the
it's
side effect, as we often say, it probably will happen. This is what generally is reported by people who live like this, that yeah, discomfort arises much less, or maybe some say not at all anymore, when once you live like this. That can very well happen. I'm just pointing out that even if it doesn't stop, even if it increases, it is not a problem to the actual self, to the true self. That's all I'm saying. Discomfort, more likely than not, is going to go away or lessen or whatever. But that's not a success. And discomfort appearing is not a failure to the true self. Right?
yeah, it is. It is actually not a failure. Yeah, if you see it this way, I guess one it's not. I won't call it an issue, but we focus more on the other, how they would feel, their reaction, and everything, instead of, as you said, but hold on a second, am I doing this and my intentions are not to harm anyone? Yes. Um, am I harming myself? No. So basically, I'm not doing anything wrong. And as you said, the other, if they would react in an angry way or um, as you said, they might tell you, well, you always say no and this and that, then it's not up to me. I mean, I'm not I'm not going to be harmed by that. And actually, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Again, and yeah, you're absolutely right. And just to make it even more obvious, logistically, you can say, okay, I will satisfy this person. I'll do it because I see some sort of logistical sense in it, a logistical profit, for the lack of a better word. But this is all in the realm in front of me, right? This is not touching. None of this is touching me. It's just it's like you're playing a game, and within that world, this is the right thing to do. This makes sense. This doesn't make sense. Whatever. And so you can indulge in even things that are not being done with the proper intention, so long as it does not require you to act in sort of discord with your own intention, right? If it wants to go that far, that's when we say, no, sorry, no. I mean, sorry, not sorry, but, And so that's important. You also don't have to, this is also important, you also don't have to put a flag out of who you truly are all the time. No, I do not do such things, and I am rejecting your invite, therefore, it's against my moral values, blah, blah, blah. No, that's also not right. That's also just falling for the same thing in the sort of the other side of the coin. That's just showcasing, right? When people accept invites even though they don't want to go there, they're just showcasing that they are social people, and they're nice people, and they're accepting people, and they're whatever. They're fun, right? So they're showcasing that. And people who reject say, no, that is not a proper amount. That's not a proper time to be out doing this thing. So that's against my moral values. That is not who I am. And so therefore I'm rejecting your invite. That's not right. These are two separate realms. Confusion only happens when we mix these two, due to our own ignorance or our lack of vision, as we say, right? And so once this is seen, it's really not a problem. It happens all the time. I receive an invite, or someone say, "Hey, let's do this," and I'm just not at all interested. Not interested. And so at that point, it would be the wrong thing. It would be, especially if this is your friend saying this, and you're truly, genuinely just not interested in the activity. For you to go there, even though you don't want to, and for you to say that you are loving this when you don't, this is not how a friend acts with another friend. A true friend would say, I have no interest. Even if you just do that one time, a reasonable person would take it to mean this: wow, I can know for a fact every time that this person does show up, I can be sure that they actually want to be here. Because I've been told before, when they didn't have an interest being here, they just didn't show up, they just didn't come. And so I know for a fact now that they're here today, they actually want to be here. Versus, people at birthday parties or weddings or whatever, and they invite hundreds of people and say, they have no idea who actually wants to be there or not. Is that family? Is that friendship? Is that how we want to live? And this is me also now speaking logistically still. I'm still not speaking morally or whatever, the other realm, non-physically. Even this logistical, physical, daily life, profane life, I don't want anyone showing up to anything who doesn't want to be there. How does that benefit me? It's just the ego thing. It's sacrifice to me. The ego loves when people turn up to their events when they don't even want to, because then the ego can say, oh, I am so important. This person showed up to this event even though I know for a fact they didn't want to. That makes me feel really important, really special. And that is thrill-seeking. We're talking about thrill-seeking these weeks. That's another way of thrill-seeking. I'm going to send this invite. If my invite is accepted, that'll give me a thrill. That's exciting. And it's also exciting to have it be declined, by the way. The ego loves drama. When it's declined, they can say, can you believe they didn't come to my wedding when I went to theirs? Can you believe this insanity, this arrogance, this injustice that is happening to me? And then they can go tell everyone about it. And that too is a thrill. So the ego wins either way. Whether it gets accepted or rejected, it wins either way. It gets drama, it gets a thrill, it gets to feel special, important. Being special is not only being singled out as a good person. When you are discriminated against, when no one else seems to be, that also is being special. And so the ego loves being special. It doesn't care how. And these are all just ways of doing that. And so when you're not acting out of the ego anymore, you're not suffering anymore. You're not going to things you don't want to go, or abstaining from going to things that you do want to go because it means this thing to some other people. You're just doing whatever you want, logistically and non-logistically, more importantly, of course. And so in the beginning, when you asked the question, this was a complicated thing. You were uncertain how to navigate it. How simple is it, in fact?
Yeah, I mean, it's truly simple.
Isn't that amazing?
It's simple when you know how to separate things, as you said, the physical, the non-physical, the logistics, and yeah, it makes sense, and you know actually how to navigate it when you are put on that situation. It's like, okay, hold on, let me see through it and separate everything, and then when you make the decision, you will know that the decision is coming um, out of truth, love, without the intention of harming anyone. And the reaction is not up to me. So it's actually it changes the perspective, especially when you said that, well, if someone won't show up to certain gatherings, let's say, and then he decides to show up to another one, well, maybe he is interested in that one. So this is really um, it's if we see it from this perspective, it really makes sense. It really makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean, it was actually really uh, complicated at the beginning, but now it makes absolute sense. Yeah, it's really that simple. I guess we
It's
just
is almost a funny thing to say, but it's because it's so obvious. But again, it is not so obvious to us in many situations. Whenever something is complicated, it lacks simplicity. I mean, what an almost silly thing to say. But whenever we see complication, we think, oh, this is important. This is a complicated thing. This is like it takes high intellect and high skill to deal with this. No, quite the opposite. That the fact that this is complicated means that awareness is lacking, understanding is lacking, vision is lacking, interest, attention is lacking. So we often put complication above simplicity. Oh, this is a simple, crude thing, and this is a complicated, high-tech, wonderful thing. No, in the realm of the non-physical, once again, it's very different. Simplicity is the height, and complication is a lesser thing, actually. And so to become simpler is actually what's desirable. But in our lives, why is it that we're always seeking complication? If we're driving a simple car, that's a bad thing to us. We want something complicated, something that breaks all them. But you know what? Everything worth having is complicated. Nothing worth having is simple, as they say, or nothing worth having is easy. But
yeah
are simple things not easy? Also, and in fact, it's not even about ease. Simple things are natural. Simple things are already yours. And so it's not even easy. It's not even a thought. It's not even something to look out for. You already have it. And so love is simple. Peace is simple. And truth is the simplest of them all. There's nothing simpler than truth. This is why whenever we gain an understanding of something, the very thing that we're understanding becomes simpler. The one who wants to become a race car driver, to them, this whole thing is very complicated. But the one who go ask the number one race driver in anything, how did you achieve? How can you do all this in your head? How did you get? To me, it's simple. I follow the line. I see a line in the road, and I also see exactly what speed that curve can take. It's so simple. It's natural. It's effortless, they say. How? Every time we become more understanding of something, we gain simplicity. So complication is nothing to brag about. And it's the same in religion, and it's the same in philosophy, and it's the same in everything. People go study this stuff. And the people who teach it love to, not just this, I mean everything. The people who teach it always love to make it seem complicated. Someone's going to teach you the guitar. If they're operating out of ego, they're going to make sure to make it seem as complicated as possible to you, because they're the master of this craft. They don't want to be the master of a simple craft. They want to be the master of a complicated craft. After all, they spend all this money, all this time, all this apprenticing under another ego person to achieve all this. And so they don't want you to think of what they're doing as simple. They want it to look complicated. And this is how you sell courses and products and things. They said, this is a very, very complicated thing. I'm a specialist. And so I will give something to you, or I'll do it for you. And you give me your attention, your time, your money. This is all in the interest of that. This is why I'm always very, somehow intuitively, I happen to have this for a long time. Whenever I see complication, it makes me suspicious, right? When someone says, especially in the realm of philosophy, right? Before I started this channel, I wanted to know, are there other people out there like this? Like who, these ideas I'm seeing in Socrates, Seneca, whatever I was reading at the time, and that were just intuitively speaking to me. It's like, how can we understand this better? How can we be more with these ideas? And I was looking around, there are people selling courses and doing things and say, or so-called gurus, right? Guru just means teacher, but we have associated the word guru with people who are almost godly. I mean, they're almost divine, and they have this special knowledge, and if you're worthy, they'll give you some of it, right? And this is how people present themselves so often. And for some reason, now it's much clearer to me even still, but even back then, whenever I saw someone like this, I already knew not to look into it any further. And it saved me so much time and so much effort, right? Because I always had this idea that truth is simple. And this is why I love the writers. I call them friends, right? Socrates is a friend to me. One of my favorite writers, Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, is a friend to me. And these are simple, simple people, and they say simple, simple things, and they never ask for anything. And they say, this is free. I don't own this. And so that's, even without knowing, we can know, we can discern a person with the right intention from the wrong intention just by the complication they're presenting. If they're presenting complication, I mean, sometimes we think things are complicated that are really not, and this person's not even saying that this is complicated, and we still think of it as complicated. That's a separate issue. That's a me problem, right? But when someone's literally saying, well, this is complicated, this is confusing, this is this and that, but I'll show you. That's more often than not a person to stay away from, right? Without any hate, just wishing well, but say, this is just not for me. And so, yeah, a friend is someone who makes us remember. A friend is someone who simplifies things for us, not complicates it. And a friend does not look for being special, being important. A friend does not look for sacrifice or for you to prove something to them. So anyone who tells you, come accept this invitation, do this for me, support me in this, do that, so that you show your care, your attention, that I am important to you, that I'm special, whether they say it directly or indirectly, I would wish them well. I would wish them well and not engage in that. But yeah, this is how it goes. The more understanding we gain, the simpler things become. And so if this has become simpler to you, then you know that you have understood something. And this is so funny. I love language. Right? I love words, and looked into the word understand one time. I was like, wow, that's an interesting word, because most English words, a lot of English words, you cannot separate them and they still make sense. They're one whole, right? But with understanding, it's understand. Under and then to stand. And I looked into it, and it really is one of the few very, very old English words. And apparently under used to mean in the midst of, rather than under over. It used to mean in the middle of. And so to understand is to stand in the middle of something, to get into it, to get into that issue and to really understand it, right? If you're trying to understand a group of people, what do? You join them, you go into their midst, and you get to know them, you understand them. And it's the same with this when we are confused about harm. All we need to do, or when we're afraid of fear, all we need to do is understand fear. And once we understand fear, it will become a simple thing. And once it's become a simple thing, it becomes an obvious thing. Once it becomes an obvious thing, it becomes non-confusing. And we know what's what and what is it not, and we have no reason to worry about anything anymore. And it's beautiful. Truth is everywhere. Truth is simple. Truth is yours. Truth is your birthright. Truth doesn't cost anything. Truth does not need sacrifice. It does not need permission. It does not need anything. And so this is how truth shows up in experience, when we understand something and it becomes simplicity and it becomes obvious and it becomes clear and a non-issue. Right? And so I think and I hope that we achieve that in this particular issue, and nothing needs to be done, right? It's not done. You're going to continue to see this and you're going to make it more obvious now for yourself. I'm just pointing out something that was pointed out to me, which will then inevitably lead to you yourself pointing many things out to yourself and your friends here, such as me and all the other people here. Perhaps you'll come back with something and say, look, I want to point this out to you, right? And this is what we're doing here. This is how it's going. And so thank you very much for what you brought, right? This is, like I said in the very beginning, this is the intersection of practice and theory, and very, very valuable. So you are a true friend. You are allowing us, you are bringing something here that we can unpack together and simplify together and understand together. And thereby we are freed of so much complication, of so much misery and effort and harm.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Thank you so much. This simplicity and things that are complicated, it's something that I guess worth examining as well. But simply put, from what I learned today, I would say that truth does not hide, and it is we who build labyrinths around it, and we mistake the maze for depth. But at its core, I guess every truth is a single thing that needs no decoration at all. It's as you described it. It's just simple. So I really thank you for pointing that out to me, and hopefully I can point that out to someone else. So I really appreciate everything you said, my friend. Thank you so much.
And so thank you very much once again for being here. We went way over this time, which I am not regretting at all. I am grateful for it. But I do owe you still a new question of the fortnight, which I want to give real quick before we end it. I don't think we still talked about thrill seeking enough, but that's okay. We'll come back to that question and perhaps other questions in the future. But I think there's greater value in keeping it moving, in giving this different angles all the time by changing the question of the fortnight. It's really pointing all at the same thing. But by asking different questions, we are seeing different perspectives, which ultimately help us see the greater picture. And so my new question for all of us, the new question of the fortnight, is this: what will you be when you grow up? What will you be when you grow up? And we'll talk about that from now on. I don't even want to say anything anymore about the question, because I think you know exactly what that feels like. I think this is a question we already ask ourselves. And so let's just collect the answers that we've been giving ourselves, because even though this is a question we still ask ourselves, no matter how old we are, we don't tell anyone else that we are still thinking like this. And we're certainly not talking about our plans of what we want to become when we grow up anymore. And so let's talk about that, because I think there's going to be a lot of insight to be gained from answering this question which sounds kind of silly, especially depending on one's age. But once again, I think there's a lot of opportunity for increasing our vision of truth, which, as we are seeing time and time again, is the only lack we could possibly have. It is not a lack in peace, but a lack of vision.